Welcome to Open Tech Talks TV. Today we have a guest speaker, Mayank Jindal, with us. He's an expert on machine learning and artificial intelligence, and we will welcome him to the Open Tech Talks show for a conversation which will help all of us to understand from his experience how he's helping and working on machine learning. Welcome, Mayank.
Thanks so much, Kasif. Thanks for having me on this podcast.
So, Mayank, let's start with some discussion on the state of affairs, what is going on, generative AI, machine learning, and over the last 2 years of your experience working with different projects. Maybe you can start with some glimpse of what type of projects or what type of use cases are happening or are you going through.
So I think AI is really pacing up. A lot of things are getting automated, and I can see its impact in software engineering as well. Because I see many tools getting developed, especially for software engineers, for increasing their productivity. So, like one of the example I would give is code completion, AI generated code completion, and some amount of code completion was already there, but with AI, it's getting more and more automated with more and more accuracy. So in general, reliability on those code completion and other AI powered tools is increasing. So I feel that in general, AI is going to be very impactful, but I can already see its impact in software engineering. And I feel that uh, it is going to increase the productivity of software engineer, but its impact is not going to be just on the productivity. It's going to on to be the entire workflow of software engineers. Like software engineers don't need to worry about low level code writing as much as they do now, and they are going to focus more on higher level tasks like for example object oriented design patterns, what kind of classes to write, what kind of interactions will happen between each software component. They are going to spend less time on writing a routine and monotonous code.
Okay, and now with the as you described on the impact on the code writing
Mhm.
from the software engineering point of view, and how the overall cycle point of from complex technical projects, and if you approach from a problem solving point of view
Mhm.
in the software engineering, do you see any challenges with new machine learning and AI projects?
Yeah. So one of the main challenge I see in machine learning or AI is productionizing the model. So building the machine learning or AI model is one thing, and productionizing that and putting that for handling real-time traffic is a completely different thing. And it mostly happens because of like one of the main challenge I see is latency of those models. So in my career, I have seen many machine learning models which which were having great accuracy and which were really good, but they couldn't be productionized because they were having a lot of latency. Because let's just think about it, that if any machine learning model is taking, let's say, 10 seconds, and we need to serve 100 TPS of traffic through that 10-second latency model, so we need to get a lot of machines or a lot of instances in parallel, which might be very costly. So machine learning optimization is definitely going to be one thing which we all should take care of. So we should, like, while building the machine learning model, we should always think about the end use case. Can this
Mhm.
model be useful for real world production traffic? Because if that model is not going to be useful, if it is having a lot of latency, then there is no point of building that in the first place. So yeah, that is optimizing model is definitely going to be a big thing.
Okay. Now, you very well highlighted the point of moving models to production, and then that's the biggest challenge. And Now, as every organization is trying to do something with AI or bring some use case, and there are no so many successes or maybe so many projects or lessons learned available in the market. So if someone is a very new fresher, he just started doing a project in AI or maybe ML in his
Mhm.
organization. Any tips for him or for that organization based on your experience that which they can follow?
One of the thing I saw in my career is that people always follow very shiny new AI models, but
Right.
like most of the things can be solved by using very basic models. So I've seen people using very complex deep learning models, but the same amount of accuracy can be increased by using a very simple logistic regression model, and which is more explanatory in nature to business people, that if logistic regression model is, let's say, giving some amount of accuracy, then it's easy to explain why it is having that accuracy and what are the things we can improve on that model compared to a very highly convoluted deep learning model. And uh, in that sense, like sometimes even the accuracy is not great for the simpler model. Sometimes businesses prefer simpler models because
Right.
it's easy to explain and it's easy to debug. And the thing with machine learning model is that we need to monitor those model and continuously update those models, because data type can change in production. So let's say we are building some website and we are using some kind of machine learning model for giving some recommendation. Then let's say we train that model on the quarter one data from January to March, but that model might behave very different in quarter four from October to December in US, because there is a holiday season and model might receive a completely different kind of data from its training data, and we will have to debug that model and we will have to update that model depending on like the accuracy degrade. So we always should think about how are we going to maintain that ML solution or AI solution, rather than just building a very shiny and very new solution. And
Okay.
one of the other thing which I felt is that sometimes businesses are not ready for integrating new kind of technologies in while building ML models, because business like whenever a new technology comes in the market, it requires certain kind of infrastructure to use that technology, and that infrastructure might not be readily available in the market. So that's the other thing I would say, is that whenever we should think about building a model, we should always think about, like, is it feasible? Are we going to maintain that with a uh, with not much headache? And that kind of thing we always should ask ourselves.
Okay. Uh, agree to your point which you mentioned. Now maybe link these points as you raise the questions of with the new advancements and shiny objects
Mhm.
while working on different projects. So did you found some pattern emerging on the challenges which are being faced for large scale projects?
Yeah. So as I said, the latency is definitely going to be a challenge, because, and it's not just the latency in um, productionizing model. It's more about, it's also about time taken during training the model, because these large language model takes a lot of time in training, and it takes a lot of resources in training also. So, and those resources and that amount of time might not be available to each organization. um, so like speaking on my previous point, that uh, we should we should always evaluate all of our options, that whether we would be able to optimize this solution further if the need arise, or would we be kind of like stuck in this phase forever? So that thing is really important.
Okay. As specific to generative AI, so many new developments are happening, and every
Mhm.
second week you see something new model is coming. So how a machine learning or a software engineer can keep him or her updated with these so rapid changes? Any suggestion for them?
Yeah. So the thing which I personally follow is like reading a lot and implementing a lot. And so one of the mistake which I did in the past is just like read and read and read without implementing.
Right.
And yeah, and like after a certain amount of time, I will feel that okay, I know enough. But as soon as I try to implement it, like I'm not able to do that because even though I feel that I we might have like deep understanding, but understanding something on the paper and being able to replicate it in the code is are two completely different things. So uh, one thing I do is like as soon as I read something, I try to implement it in the code so that I understand the intricacies of it. Like just giving you an example of basic logistic regression model or linear regression model,
Right.
we might feel that we understand it how it works, but unless we implement it, we won't be able to understand its like how vectors are manipulated from one layer to other layer, what is going to be the data shape, how will matrices work in Python code, and what kind of library support do we have in Python ecosystem or any other programming languages ecosystem. So implementing any solution, implementing any new solution is a very important thing, I feel.
I echo to your points, and I think the same and on my career progression, I can relate it that reading is good enough, but until you do some hands-on practical stuff, you can't get full control on your on those concepts.
Mhm.
Okay, now if you reflect as your career, what are the projects or maybe something which you're proud of, or you see that was a wonderful work which you have done it?
Yeah. So one of the thing I see in my past career is that I not only focused just on the software engineering aspects, but I also worked as a machine learning engineer. I also worked as a data engineer where I built data pipelines for like extracting a data from certain place and then transforming that and then placing that data into another place so that that particular data can be used for building other models. And I always worked in small teams, so we had to wear multiple hats of product managers, program managers. So all of these things happened even when my title was software engineering.
Hmm.
So that is what I'm really proud of. That uh, I was very adaptable. I was not stuck at that. Okay, I will do only software engineering, but I was more focused on providing value to my organization. And if I talk about a particular project, I would say like once we were stuck on scaling a ML based solution. So we had built the solution and it was working fine, but then traffic suddenly increased beyond our expectation, and we were
Mhm.
facing a lot of scalability solutions. We are facing a lot of scalability problems, and then I worked on implementing some kind of retry mechanisms so that if there is any error coming, then the system can automatically retry itself. And like I had read about retry mechanism in the past, but when I tried to implement that, I learned a lot of things. And I experimented with a lot of different parameters and how the system would behave in at each value of the parameter, and
Mhm.
that's how I optimized the that machine learning system. And that was the scalability problem which I solved, and I'm really proud of that because those kind of problem doesn't come every day. And at that time,
Mhm.
I
Right.
faced I thought that I was really lucky that I got that problem because I was able to learn a lot in that at that time.
Okay. Now, if someone is a new in his early career and he want to start his or her career in AI and machine learning,
Mhm.
what are your tips based on your experience for them?
I would say not just learn about artificial intelligence or machine learning,
Hmm.
have a basic understanding of software engineering as well, because I see many people who are great data scientists, but uh, like in the today's world, we anyway need to use software engineering tools. We need to think about productionizing machine learning models. So it's very easy to get lost into forest of machine learning, but
Right.
we also need to think beyond like just building the model. We also need to think about the business problem. We also need to think about productionizing the model. How would it behave in production? How can we monitor machine learning solution? What kind of alarms and matrices we can use so that if any error comes, we can get notified and we can fix it. So the engineering aspect of machine learning or data science, I feel is really really helpful to have.
Okay. And now, maybe back to some of the business problems.
Mhm.
Do you see any challenge understanding the business requirement and then mapping to the right algorithm, that okay, which one is the best algorithm to solve certain business problems, or just going on the gap between your understanding and what businesses are saying? Any learning you have seen over while working in the large scale projects where business requirements were something else and then we understood something else, or maybe how to bridge those?
Yeah. So I was working in a project, and it was my very first project of machine learning in the industry setting in my career. And we were facing some issue, like we had got some kind of accuracy in the very first iteration of model, but business wanted much more than that accuracy in reality, and we were not able to achieve that. So after some brainstorming, we kind of found an algorithm that might work, and business was like, yeah, okay, let's go ahead with it. But that solution building required 2 3 months, and we
Hmm.
didn't have that time. We didn't have that amount of time. So we figured out another solution that was not giving the very highest accuracy, but that was good
Right.
enough, and that was very easy to implement. So after talking with different stakeholders, different product management, program management, we decided to build that less good solution, but
Hmm.
the faster solution. So it was kind of a trade-off between speed and accuracy. And at that
Right.
time, we chose for speed over accuracy because there were some business deadlines coming. So, and it happens very frequently that we are having two solutions at our hand, and
Hmm.
even though the second solution is much better, we need to go for the first one because of the speed. So yeah, that is the one thing I can recall from my memory.
Okay. Okay. And how do you see from a industry with the cloud computing and focus on AI and generative AI? How do you see it's heading, and how do you see next 2 3 years on your focus on which technology you will be focusing more?
I feel that like cloud solutions have really lowered the bar of entering into our technical industry because let's just think as a startup that they don't need to worry about managing a data centers and like security of data centers and all those things. They just rent a certain kind of hardware from the cloud vendor, and they can just use it. They can just focus on the business logic rather than managing the entire infrastructure by themselves. And it is really helpful in building AI/ML solution as well. because LLM takes a lot of time in training, and those
Right.
LLMs are provided by cloud providers like directly. So we don't need to build those LLM models from the scratch, and we can build AI ML applications using those cloud providers, and those applications will use those ML models under the curtain, and we don't need to think about training
Mhm.
them from the scratch. So that's one of the thing cloud solutions are offering to the industry, and that is like really lowering the bar of adapting AI ML solutions and building AI ML applications.
All right. So before we conclude our session, so if you want to just leave any top of the list, any one learning while working on these large scale projects,
Mhm.
what is that for some technology folks who are working or who are going to start working on these big projects in the AI or in ML?
I would say have a mindset of continuous learning, like not just think that okay, I know enough, and because like every week or every month some new AI model is coming into the market, and um, and it's very hard to keep up. I understand, but yeah, we can only try, and it also depends on the type of project you are having on your plate. um, so yeah, just have an open mindset, be adaptable, and have a mindset of continuous learning, not just be complacent. That's all I would say.
All right, Mayank, thank you so much for joining. If someone from the audience want to reach out to you, what is the best medium where they can find you or they can reach out to you?
They can definitely connect with me on LinkedIn. So that's the best way to connect with me.
All right. Thank you so much for joining OpenTechTalks.tv.
Thank you so much, Kashi, for having me. It was really nice talking to you.